Welcome, ladies. My name is Bianca Cotton, and I am the founder of Behind the Confident Smile, where we inspire women to walk in love, live in hope, and be healed from past hurts. And with us, we in for a treat, y'all. This is part 4 of this 4-part series of Let's Talk Purpose, and we are ending with Freda Richmond. She is a mighty woman, so you don't want to miss a beat with this lady right here. Before we jump into uh, our discussion, remember, purpose is the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So we are all created for a purpose. We are all created with gifts, skills, talents, abilities, whatever you want to call it. And it's up to us to really uncover those things because they're within us, it's around us. It's nothing that we have to go too far to look for. So, this series is focused on how to identify your purpose and walk in your purpose. So, if you're listening and you've been watching for the past 3 parts of this series and wondering, what is my purpose? This is the opportunity for you to really dig in and start to reflect on, what am I passionate about? What am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What can I do without getting paid for it and wake up to do it? But if you're a person who know what their purpose is, but you want to expand on it, thinking about how can you expand your reach? How can you help others to walk into their purpose? So without further ado, I will introduce Miss Freda here. Freda has a very interesting story, y'all, and she has plenty of them, trust me. But how
Very true.
the importance of a college education. How many of you all have a college degree or have ever been encouraged to go to college, right? Or have had the resources to do so? Her mom was over the age of 40 years old when she decided to pursue her college degree. So you all, it's no excuse. If you want to pursue your college education, do not allow age to determine when and where and how you will go to college. This left an impression on Freda while she attended classes with her mother. Um, so let's fast forward. She has spent her adult life working to close the achievement gap for students of color under an underrepresented community. She holds a bachelor's in communications from Columbia College, a nonprofit certificate from Roosevelt University, and a master's of public administration from Baruch College. She is a woman to know, y'all. Okay? When Alicia Keys talking about underdog, wink, wink, she's the woman to know. Know her name, Freda Richmond. Thank you for being with us and willing to share your story and dive into it. So,
Thank you for the opportunity, for the invitation. It has been a pleasure just being in your shadow, and I am so blessed that our paths have crossed. I have had a wealth of blessings just from knowing who you are. So I thank you for you deciding to take a leap of faith and walk in your own purpose and opening up doors and opportunities. I was just reflecting back to a couple of workshops that I've attended that we've been releasing the fear. And it was just an emotional experience to be able to think about what are some of those things that are kind of holding you back from your best self. And I have taken a lot of those tangible tools that you put out there, for the free 99, basically, to allow us to really release the fear. So I thank you for this platform. I thank you for this opportunity. And it is a pleasure to share my story. So I'm really excited about that.
oh, my pleasure. Oh, my pleasure. I feel the warmth and the love already. So, what is your purpose? The big question, right? That some people, sometimes it may take us a lifetime. So share with us what you've discovered thus far.
And I'm glad that you started this journey with the story about my mom. And I'm just going to dig a little bit deeper into that. Not only was she over 40 when she decided to go back to school to get her bachelor's degree, but she was also a grandmother. I was born my mother's last child. I was that last, oh my gosh, baby. My mother was pregnant with my oldest sister and my brother's wife. So at some point, they all gave birth and we all were growing up together. And so my mother had a lot on her plate. But because she decided to change her trajectory and go in that direction, she changed my entire perspective. So when I have conversations with my brother and my sisters about growing up, our conversations are very different. The house that I live in now is the house that I grew up in. I never knew, I had the pleasure of knowing other addresses, but this was always my permanent address. So my mother worked diligently and very hard to expose me to a lifestyle that only comes when you have that education behind it. So she instilled that into me at a very young age. And because of that, I never thought that, going through the college process was an option. It wasn't a thought in my mind, although I did get to the place because I wasn't the brightest of students where I was really contemplating how I was going to get to college. Thank goodness for a teacher who saw some potential in me and actually invested the time to help me get there. But I was, determined enough to make sure once I got there that I got what I needed in order to move to the next level in my life. And so my mother was, and she retired as a preschool teacher. And so, how people speak things into your life at a very young age. So people always say, you're going to be a teacher. And I rebuke that from day one. It's like, I'm not going to be a teacher. Because in my mind, I just envisioned teachers, work in little schools with lots of kids. And I just knew that that wasn't the lifestyle for me. I knew that I didn't want to be that. But because my mother was an educator and she instilled education, at some point throughout my life, and at every point throughout my life, I became that teacher, right? That mentor, that facilitator, that instructor. And so once I embraced that and really started walking in my purpose, then that's where everything kind of opened up for me in my life, in my journey. And so when people ask me what is my purpose, I know for sure because I've been able to see it play out in so many other parts of my life of how my purpose has been, I've been able to explore it. I've been able to flourish in it. And it's your hustle, right? It's that thing, we talked about it, that you do for free. I remember when I was in between jobs and I was like looking for a side hustle. And I was like, what can I do well? And I was like, I don't have physical skills of like braiding hair. And, I tried selling makeup and Mary Kay and that didn't quite work out for me. And I was like, what can I do? And, I was like, I could speak. Who would pay me to speak? Who would pay me to talk? Right?
Yes.
About it from that perspective. And so when I started going down that road, that's where I got a lot of my side hustles of who would pay me to talk. And I mean, when people, if you have a passion and you want to get on the center stage, I'm not saying go find somebody that's going to pay you to get on the center stage. I didn't start there. I started in call centers. I started in preschool classes. I started teaching Sunday school. I started teaching Bible study, those kind of things where it was like very small groups and I am perfecting my skills of facilitation. And when I decided, I didn't decide, when I actually got the epiphany and the vision that I was going to be a college instructor or facilitator, I was like, what is that going to look like? How is that going to go? How, what things are going to play in place in order to get me into that arena, into that field? And I'm telling you, I was able to perfect it in all the spaces and places that I volunteered. That's where I unearthed, and that's where my breeding ground and my training ground was. So when you talk about thinking about your purpose, it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy question. I wish that there was a 1, 2, 3 step and bam, you're at your purpose. But
Right.
you figuring out what your passions are. What makes you excited about waking up in the morning? What's gnawing at you at night? What's that one problem that you feel like you can, that is tugging at your heart that you want to do something about? Once I saw the disparity in Black and brown communities around education, I knew that I needed to spend some time working in that space and place and sharing my story and opening up those doors and thinking about opportunities for people that look like me so that we can continue to excel. And God has just put me in spaces and places in large groups, small groups, national organizations, small organizations, corporations, institutions, where I've just been able to use my talent and my skills and use those opportunities to perfect this gift that God has given me. So I'm really excited about that. So that's the first question.
No, that was spot on. I was sitting here just soaking it all in, and a few points hit me like, yes, yes, and more yes, was about you started where you were. You started in Sunday school. You started in the small groups. You started in the preschool room. And I just want to encourage everyone watching this is you may have a vision in your mind of where you see yourself, but there are steps that need to be taken before you are on center stage, right? Whatever your center stage is, whatever your main stage, there are steps before you get there, not despising small beginnings and really learning how to grow where you're potted. I remember hearing this quote like, grow where you're potted. And when you outgrow that pot, you'll grow into another pot. And so if you want to write a book but currently you're blogging, perfect your skills with your blog posts and transfer those blog posts into a book. Like you can go from one point to the next, and it's not always seamless. It's not always easy. It may come with a lot of rough terrain, but along the way, you are sharpening those skills. So if Freda never started facilitating in small groups and perfecting that, she probably would not have perfected it to the level where she is now to do more and to have greater impact.
I heard something. Faith is believing in something that only makes sense in reverse. And so when you look at it from the end to the beginning, that's when you see those aha moments, just like you were saying about being planted and thinking about the pot that you're in and trying to just grow within that pot and within that space that you're in. So just looking at the steps that has been ordered for me has been amazing. So here I am looking for a side hustle. I'm like, who's going to pay me to talk? Because that's all I think I really know how to do very well. And so I knew that I didn't want to sell anything. So I was like, I could probably work in a call center, setting, just answering phones or something like that. And so lo and behold, I get a job working in a call center, and maybe a year a couple of months, of course, within that role, they say to me, hey, do you want to be a trainer? And I was like, yes.
Yes.
So training. So now I'm training within the call center, right? Making a dollar more. It's not really about that, but it's the interaction and me being able to perfect that training and coaching and mentoring that I know essentially I want to do. I'm perusing through, looking at jobs, and I find a job that says, we're looking for someone to teach a customer service call center class.
There you have it.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So it's going to put me right into the classroom. I can leverage the skills that I just got from this position, working in this call center maybe I worked there for maybe like a year and a half. And even when I left them, because they were so distraught, like, oh my gosh, Freda, you're leaving. What's going on? Do you need us to change your schedule? You're a really good trainer. And I was like, no, I actually have an opportunity to go teach call center etiquette. And I'm going to be a college professor.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So this is really important. This is really important, and I want us to keep in mind. wherever you are, your gifts are gonna shine. It's going to rise. Whether or not those who are around you will see it, depending on who's meant to see it, but your gifts will make room for you.
Yes, they will.
So her gifts made room for her, and I'll just continue. I just let you continue, but that's so good.
It's an amazing journey when you take an opportunity to stop and think about it, right? So all of these synergies and opportunities and spaces and places that you're putting yourself in, people that you're meeting, like I tell folks that I'm working with all the time, become a collector of people. Because that's when you meet that person helps you to excel to the next level of what you want to do. I mean, Bianca and I have only been working together for a few years, but we've done some amazing things. And when I see how it all kind of transformed, it's amazing. So she put me on a platform. I came in as a volunteer, just coming in, talking to a cohort of individuals that she was working with as a facilitator, right? I came in volunteer, and next thing I know, they're like, hey, come in and be our residential trainer. And then here comes COVID. We're face-to-face doing all these really great things. Here comes COVID, and now we have to take everything to a virtual platform. And now here comes more opportunities behind that, you know, where now I'm thinking about, you know, how am I going to now take all of this stuff that I've been working on for the last couple of years, move it into a virtual setting and turn it into a course that I'm eventually going to be selling. Who knew?
Yes. Freda has schools in her. Schools, you all. I mean, the genius of being a facilitator and training, but knowing how to reach those who may not have had the professional experience yet, or have had some professional experience and need some fine tuning. You're a genius at talking to people at all levels. That's the art. That's purpose. That's a skill. Not everybody knows how to communicate.
That's just what I've been in situations where I've been at the boardroom. I've talked to, you know, presidents, and I've talked to people in leadership, and I've talked to the people that are working, and I talk to young people, and I talk to children. And so like I've had to have those opportunities to just get in front of people and just talk. I told you in the very beginning, I thought I was going to be another Oprah. That was always my dream. I was like, I want to be Oprah Winfrey. Like when I saw that, and like I said, she gets paid to talk. That's amazing. Yes. You know, so that is where I went to school for a degree in television production and specifically broadcast, because I really thought that that's what I wanted to do. And you know what my first job was after I got my degree?
What?
Teaching.
Wow.
I got my first job teaching television production at a school for unwed mothers and in a Latino neighborhood through an organization. And I was just like, here I am, back in the class.
In the classroom. So your purpose has chased you down for all of your life.
Oh my.
That's funny. So that's something to think about, you all. What is something that keeps coming up in your life? What do people keep asking you about? What do they keep saying about you? What opportunities continue to present themselves to you? You like this again? Yeah. That might be a clue to pay attention. So how do you live out your purpose daily? How do you live out teaching and coaching and mentoring and facilitating?
You know, one of my girlfriends labeled me as a solutionist, and I love that. She's like, you're a solutionist. So like anytime I'm having basic conversations, I'm always thinking about, okay, so what did you say is going on? Let's figure out the solution in that, right? Like we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but like, how are we going to move it to the next level to ensure that, you know, we're moving the needle on whatever this is. I don't care what it is. I'm going to be thinking about, you know, some solutions, like, we can fix this. You know, this does not have to stay the way that it is right now. We can move this to the next level. So when she gave me that, and when she said that to me, and she's like, you're a solutionist. So I embrace that and look for opportunities to be a solutionist as much as I look for opportunities to coach, to mentor, to facilitate. right? And so a lot of that is just being a listening ear and listening out for those opportunities. I'm that person in the store that I hear somebody say, "What aisle is the detergent?" Oh, it's aisle 12. I'm that person, that's like, "Hey, I see that you're about to buy that, and I have a coupon for it, and I'm not going to use it. Here you go."
It's true, y'all. So it's a tip she shared with me that I end up sharing with a lot of people. So, during COVID, people bought up the Lysol wipes. You couldn't find nothing to disinfect or clean your house. So Freda, the solutionist, was like, just get some baby wipes and some bleach. And I was like, duh, right? I didn't think of that, but she did. So I was in the dollar store one day, and it was these guys in there. They were so mad. They was like, how am I supposed to clean up if I can't find nothing? And I was like, well, you can get some baby wipes that's in the aisle over there and get some bleach and pour the bleach in the baby wipes, and you got your Lysol wipes. They was like,
There you go.
that's so smart. I said, I can't take credit for that, but I just wanted to pass the knowledge on.
Look, and they're thicker, they're better. Because my husband's like, "Where did you get these wipes from?" I was like, "I made them, remember?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, they're so thick. These are really good." I'm like, "I know." So I haven't had to buy any wipes, but yes. So there you go. Just looking for opportunities, like, let's DIY it. Let's figure out how to make it happen. It has to be another way to skin this cat.
Yes. I also want to add to this piece too. Sometimes we think purpose has to be this grandiose, this big thing. And with having these conversations, it shows you that it's the little things that count too. People need people. We need solutionists. We need those who are willing to walk with people out of pain. Like, this is what helps us to move forward as a human race. We need people at all levels. We need the hands, the feet, the eyes, the nose. Not everybody can be the head.
Yep. And I think that's really important too, Bianca. And also to emphasize that everybody can't do everything. So while I may be, I'm gonna tell you, anytime I could go to a conference, a one-day conference, I could be a stranger, not knowing nobody, just going in. I'm sitting in a group. They're like, "Here's a group assignment. And who's going to be the speaker?" It's always like, "Why don't you be the speaker?" Even if I don't say anything out of my mouth.
She just looked like a speaker, right?
So I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'll be the speaker." Right. But, I take sloppy notes, so I'm a good note taker because I know how to listen. And if I'm typing them, I can do really well. But don't ask me to write it. Don't ask me to draw something. I can't build you anything. I had to put my chair together for my desk. Should have took me 20 minutes. 2 hours later, I still was trying to find screws and holding stuff in and trying to make sure it didn't fall apart once I sat down. So that's not my area. And so really figuring out where you fit into this whole puzzle is going to help you find your purpose and your gift and your talent, and understanding that once you find that thing that you do the best, there's nobody else that's going to be able to top you because you're going to do it.
Yes.
You're going to be the one to do it. So that's just it.
See, there's the educator coming out of her.
Exactly. Here she goes. Okay, stop.
So what's the purpose of living in purpose?
I feel like I wake up every day excited about the work that I do. So way before the pandemic, I was working from home. There's no one around me. I don't have a big team that supports me. And I amaze my family when I get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, get my cup of coffee, come down to my desk and start to work. My work inspires me. I do my work on the weekends. I do my work at night. I do my work without somebody telling me to do my work. And I am excited that I get to do the work and somebody gives me a paycheck because I just love the work that I do. So I'm just like, I get paid to do this. I say that all the time. I get paid to do this. I am the Tommy of the group, right? So anybody watch Martin, they're like, "Tommy, you have a job." But I really do. I really do. And I love the work that I get to do. So working right now for a national nonprofit organization and just being behind the scenes and playing a role in something, I knew that in systems and structures and project management that I really excel in those areas. So when I found an opportunity to really take all of these expertise and put it towards one initiative that I believe in, right? Because right now I'm still working to close the gap for Black and Brown children in underrepresented communities on a whole nother different scale, doing a whole different kind of work. But underneath it all, that's still the foundation of the work that I get to do every day. So being able to do that on a daily basis and fulfill that and be able to live that purpose makes me feel like, you know, I'm doing something worthwhile. If the money ever stops and they're like, we can never pay you to do this again and want you to volunteer, if money wasn't an object and I didn't need it, totally would do it for free. With the same kind of rigor, with the same kind of passion, with the same kind of creativity, with the same kind of eagerness that I bring to anything when somebody is giving me a paycheck for.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Go pursue that purpose. So since you have uncovered your purpose, how has your life changed since realizing it?
It is definitely more fulfilling, right? Because once you figure out that one thing that you can just do very well, that pushes you to do more, that is the wind beneath your wings, you know, that thing that you're passionate about. And so a lot of times when I'm working with people that I'm mentoring and coaching, I'm trying to help them find their passion because, and I work with a lot of young people that are or new into their career field. So they're still trying to peck away and figure this whole thing out. Because once you figure out what your passion is, that's what's going to help you get up and go to work every day. Right? That's what's going to ensure that you do your work with integrity. That's when you have and you come home and people say, how was work today? You're like, it was fantastic. Let me tell you what I learned. Let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you about, and it's not like, oh, I'm glad it's Friday. I have those days when I'm like, I want to sleep in and I want to binge watch television. I am just as normal as everybody else. But again, the work that I get to do and the life that I get to live, when I tapped into my passion, you know, the money came. So I didn't have to go looking for the money. I didn't have to go looking for the opportunities. I didn't have to go looking for that because once you start working in your purpose, God is just going to continue to make room for you. It's just going to grow and you're going to be amazed because you're like, oh my God, look at what's happening, right? All of these opportunities are falling in my lap and, you know, you can then choose which ones you take advantage of, which ones you put on the back burner. Bianca's been on me about writing this book forever. It's in me.
It's next.
It's in me. I've been talking about it forever and she's been coaching me and I appreciate, you know, the tenacity and the knowledge and the passion that she has to the work that she's done because it has pushed me and excelled me out of my comfort zone into a place where I am, you know, operating at full capacity. Sometimes you're still operating in your purpose and it's just not at full capacity because you're scared to step out there. That is totally understandable. This is down. You know, the unknown is, you know, a very hard space and place for people to be in. But once you get into that space, you know, allow God to give you those visions and dreams and show you what it's supposed to look like. I'm gonna share one little small story about that because when God gave me the vision that I was going to move back into my childhood home, my mother had lived here for 40 plus years and she had a lot of treasures. So I'm gonna say that for our community, everybody know what that means. So every time I would walk in the door, I would get so overwhelmed by all of her treasures and things that I would just close the door. And then I would walk back in maybe a week later and then I would just close the door. And I'm like, God, I don't see how this is going to come to pass. Like I hear you telling me this, but I just don't see how this is going to happen. And it literally took years of me just working and chiseling away room after room after room and, you know, working with her to get her into a senior living facility before me and my family was able to move in. But, you know, now that we've been here for a few years, it's kind of just like, wow, you gave me this vision And I just had to believe in it, although I couldn't really see it. It's like, for women, we get the privilege of being pregnant. So when you're impregnated with something, you don't know what you're going to have. You can feel it moving around. You know that it's growing. You know that it's growing and getting ready. And the labor you already know is going to possibly kill you just for the fact of it, right? So you're laboring something. Something is growing inside of you. So you just have to figure out, how do you nurture that? And how do you get it to full term? And then how do you give birth to it, right? So it sounds very simple. It's not a process, but the rewards of it is amazing.
Oh yes, it makes you sweat.
Yes.
And then birth you bleed. So yeah. Oh my gosh, Freda.
I only have one child, and when I took Lamaze, the Lamaze instructor said, when you're in labor, the more pain you in, the closer you are getting to seeing your child. And that's what you have to focus on. Like, try to get through the pain and know the more pain you're in, the closer the baby is to coming. So as I was going through those labor pains, I just kept saying, oh, she coming, oh, she coming, oh, she coming, right? And I was doing it overnight. But eventually, when it was all over, it was all worth it, right?
Yeah.
You see the fruits of your labor.
Yes, and that's birthing purpose, yeah.
Birthing purpose.
Birthing purpose is not easy. It doesn't come without pain. Sometimes tears, sometimes bags under your eyes from late nights. I mean, it really depends on your journey. And you just have so much wisdom. There's so many ways we could take this. But what are, because I have two questions for you. One, I want you to speak to individuals and underrepresented communities about college, like any tips you have for them. And lastly, I want you to share with the women any top 3 things that you would have and that you want to share to encourage them on their purpose journey.
Yes. And let me say, I am not trained as a college counselor. I have no college counseling experience. And so when I say that I work in these communities and work to create systems and structures, a lot of the work that I've been able to do is around working in programs and initiatives that really work to help students of color, specifically in underrepresented communities, move the needle closer to understanding and unearthing and demystifying college. So I've worked in a lot of college readiness programs. And when I got the opportunity to move from the one-to-one and move into systems and structures, that's when I realized that I made a bigger impact. When I'm moving and working in programs that's working with thousands and thousands and thousands of students, that's when I knew that I was really working in my purpose. Not that those one-on-ones was not important, but I realized that I had something bigger to bring to the table. So I started with those one-on-one opportunities, right? Sitting in sessions, helping writing personal statements, telling my story, looking through and developing relationships and trying to help people think about that college application process. But I'm not the person to call if you're looking for the scholarships, and I'm not the person to call. I barely made it through my own daughter's FAFSA process. So I'm not that technical person. But when really start to think about how do you change your mind and understanding that, post-secondary, my biggest, I'm a huge champion for helping people understand that post-secondary education is essential. You don't necessarily have to go to college to get a 4-year degree, but you have to really think about those skills that you're going to need that's going to equip you for whatever you want to do next. So just like I said before, I'm all about helping people think about where's that passion? What's lying inside of you? What do you want to nurture that's going to help you create this lifestyle that you want to have? A lot of that is setting goals and thinking about tangible skills and thinking about, work-ready skills. And so I do a lot of work around those kind of things. So if you are, a young person, an older person, wherever you are in your journey, you should always be looking for opportunities to learn. I go through certification classes. I'm always sitting in somebody's course. I'm always, looking for some conference to go to. where I'm able to just add on to those skills, listening to audiobooks, reading a book, that's around professional development. You should always be an avid learner, and then within your plan, make sure that you're thinking about how am I going to increase my knowledge around whatever it is. Money is not an object because, again, when you're walking in your purpose, God will make room for you. After I finished my undergrad, I had a very small loan that I needed to cover, and then I did AmeriCorps. And what did I do with my educational award? Put it right towards my undergrad degree. That pretty much wiped it out. I was able to get the certificate in nonprofit management for practically free. I worked for a corporation that gave us tuition reimbursement. So my relationship with Sally Mae is over, and I'm very excited about that. Yes, take it back.
Yes.
It was my adult life that I had to make that happen. But where there is a will, there's definitely a way. And if that is something that you have that you want to do, then don't allow any obstacles to stand in your way to get that done.
That's good.
And I think for, women, because this is really about pearls of wisdom to share with each other, when you're thinking about getting into your purpose, think about your passions. Again, we're going to just go back to the basics, write down those, what if nobody was paying you, what would you do for free? And even if it's like, I would babysit, then maybe you have that love for children that some people don't have, oh, I would cook all day long if I could, for free, Heck, at one point I was like, if somebody would pay me to sleep, I would just sleep all day. But
yes.
Sleep. And if that's
they do.
So don't underestimate that. People get paid to binge watch shows and tell, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? So anything, let me tell y'all. Okay, I'm gonna share one more story. And then this is really interesting. Again, me and my side hustles. So I was teaching and it was in between semesters. And I was looking for a holiday job. And I was like, I just need like a job between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year, because then I'm going to go back to teaching. And so I was like, what can I do? Here it is. My head is kind of round and round, and I'm looking for opportunities. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I love cats. I love cats. I grew up with them. I've just always, I home sit cats for my friends, and people are like, I need a cat sitter. I'm like, yes, bring me your kitty. I bring in stray cats off the street. I'm feeding them all the time. My daughter is always crazy about that. But nevertheless, so I see an ad looking for someone to be a cat sitter. I'm like, you want to pay me to sit cats? This is amazing. The best cat sitter ever. And to this day, I just recently got a call from them asking if I wanted to come work over the 4th of July weekend. I loved it so much. I did it so well. It was effortless to me. Going into people's homes, taking care of their cats, rubbing them, playing with them, feeding them, making sure they were good, taking pictures, documenting, what they were doing. It was a great part-time job. But again, I love cats. So it was, and people were like, you found a job that paid you to cat sit. I said, I did. So anything that you feel like you want to do, there's somebody out there that's going to pay you for that talent and skill.
Yes, that reminds me of, we put barriers on ourselves, like with our own limited beliefs. And I want us to challenge our thinking and our belief system. If you use the word can't, or I've never seen that, maybe it's up to you to create that opportunity for yourself. If you cannot find it within your area.
Things are not rocket. When I went on my interview for Cat City, I interviewed the heck out of that man. I said, how did you come up with this idea? Where did this come from? Who else is doing this? How do you get your clients? He was just like, are you interviewing me? I was like, I'm just so fascinated that you were able to move this into a business, and a very profitable business for him and his business owner. So I was really, who was also his partner. So I was really interested in knowing, of course. And then I started, when I was teaching an entrepreneurship class, he came into my class to be one of my guests.
It was cool meeting this guy, y'all. I was just like, so you made a whole business out of this? Like, nothing is impossible. You're sitting at home in front of your computer, pairing people, interviewing people to cat sit. Y'all,
Yeah.
it may sound a little crazy if you don't believe it, but it is real. It is, it's a real business.
And I think so many times you have those things that, come across our minds and we're like, that sounds crazy. But that person that took that crazy idea and turned it into, a reality are the ones that are really, working in their passion, believing in themselves, doing something that other people may found was just impossible. It is not impossible. Because I am the facilitator teacher, when we moved into the pandemic space, of course, all of our religious ceremonies and churches and things shut down. So we had to move to a virtual setting. And I remember my pastor saying, well, we want to start back up Sunday school. And they were like, well, Freda, we want you to teach Sunday school. And I was like, well, what's the prerequisite for teaching Sunday school on Zoom? And they was like, somebody who knows how to work Zoom. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that would be me, right? So then I started doing Sunday school classes. And guess what? Now I'm training people on how to utilize the Zoom platform because, people just need those tangible skills in order to get those things done. So it is not, and that was just something that I just knew how to do. It was definitely not anything that I thought. And of course, I'm not charging anybody for that, but I'm perfecting that skill. So who knows what opportunities may come out of that, right? But just think about those things that you have, those talents and skills that you already have, and put those to good use.
Definitely. She has taught me a lot, you all, too, over the past couple of years. And this woman right here, invaluable. Invaluable. I mean, phenomenal. Like Maya Angelou would say, every woman that I've met, that I'm in relationship with, just invaluable. We are all just precious. Oh my gosh.
Between me and Bianca, we just trade pearls of wisdom. Give me this one. Give me that one. Oh, I need this one. I need that one. What you think about that one? Oh, give me this. So,
it's the most beautiful thing ever to be able to converse with someone. They're like, oh, have you thought about that? I'm like, no, but have you thought about that? No. And it's no competition. We complement one another. It's just beautiful. I don't have another word for it tonight. It's just beautiful, and it makes my heart feel good. So, Freda, it was such a pleasure. I mean, I could go on and on, but I won't tonight. This was so rich, and thank you for coming on and sharing your life with us, sharing your purpose. And I just hope that those who listen to this entire series really start to feel good about what their purpose is, because sometimes we feel ashamed of our purpose because it doesn't look glamorous, or you like, oh, well, mine don't look like hers or like his. It's not supposed to. This is the opportunity for you to walk with your head up into your purpose.
Yeah.
And be happy and excited and joyful that you know what your purpose is. If your purpose is starting a company for dog walkers, you better walk them dogs. You better do that. If it's for to make earrings for people like me who prefer not to make them, but I will buy them, come on. Walk in your purpose. You have clients waiting. I'm just saying.
I love creative people that have the ability to do those things. Like, yeah, I dilly and dally in a couple of DIY stuff, but other than that, like, I can make a good body butter.
And your bath salts.
Your bath salt. I figured that out. But I love those people that have that creativity within them, that they can translate that into something beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't invite me to sip and paint. I'm trying I'll have good stories, but my pictures are never taken.
You know, it's up to the individual artist what it looks like. Everybody's come out different. Everybody's come out different, but again, Freda, thank you. It was a pleasure. This was a great way to wrap up Let's Talk Purpose 4-part series with you dropping several gems. So I hope you all had your notebooks out. If not, watch it again so that you can take notes and put some plans into action. This is your homework to uncover your purpose. And within the next 30 days, have some tangible outcomes. What have you done within your purpose? Have you read a book? Have you purchased a course to further explore? Have you taught Sunday school? If that's your thing, like what is it? If your piece is being a fitness instructor, have you looked for the certifications? Have you paid for them? Like, let's put this into motion, y'all. No more thinking about it. Let's do it.
Get an accountability partner. I have to tell you, someone like Bianca, she's an awesome accountability partner because she will give you homework and your deliverables and a deadline. And
yes.
So she will not come back without produce. Like she had me shaking sometimes. I'm like, okay, Bianca,
Deadlines work. Deadlines work. It will be another year before you know it, and you do not want to look up and like, what did I do with another year of my life? Don't let that be your story. So, again, thank you all for tuning in. Please drop a comment, subscribe, share this video, and walk in purpose. Until next time.